Hey, what's up, everybody? The V Club here, the Villain Club. Oh, yeah. And it's all about anything and everything. Nothing's off the table. All right. Unscripted on everything. And so here we are. We talk about, like I said, anything and everything. So I want to get to it here, all right? Because, it's just, all I got to say is Donald Trump is putting together a dream team, all right? And so I thought a good way to summarize everything is through Jesse Waters here, who kind of just summarized everything that's been going on in the last day, maybe 2 days. So let's get straight to it here, all right? And I'll give you my thoughts on it as we go along, because he kind of covers everything in a nutshell here, and it's great. So I wanted to share my thoughts on it as well. So let's do it.
Hire better people this time around, and he's off to a hot start. Ladies and gentlemen,
Definitely
American
is.
heartthrob Stephen Miller is getting a promotion. This time he'll be Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy. That means he'll have a lot of authority over the mission. Former New York Congressman Lee Zeldin has been tapped to lead the EPA. New York Congresswoman Elise Stefanik will be UN ambassador. Florida Congressman Mike Waltz has been selected to be Trump's national security advisor. He's a former Green Beret who's come on this show demanding answers about Butler. Kamala's no longer border czar. Former ICE director Tom Homan has been put in charge of mass deportations. And Tom's not messing around.
I got a message to the millions of illegal aliens that Joe Biden's releasing our country in violation of federal law. You better start packing now.
If sanctuary cities don't want to help, then get the hell out of the way because we're coming.
Is there a way to carry out mass deportation without separating families?
I love this line right here.
Of course there is. Families can be deported together.
Trump also declaring who
Love
will
that.
not be joining his administration: Nikki Haley and Mike Pompeo. Remember,
Yeah, they're Nikki Haley and Pompeo. What are they? Neocons, right? Haley is all about the same principles as Liz Cheney, right? Just war machines, and that's all they care about, right? And that's what neocons like. They're kind of like Democrats, but not really, because they do have conservative values, but at the same time, they're all about the war machine, right? Just the all part of that whole war industrial complex, right? That's what they're about. So good that it's good because Haley was part of the last administration for Trump, and you could tell that she's not really with Trump in that way, because if she would have thrown her support towards him like authentically and not just half spirited and all that, maybe she might have a place in the Trump cabinet. But in this time around, because she had a role before, and it was a pretty sizable role, but I think she let her true values speak, and that's why Nikki Haley's not going to be part of it this time around. Plus, she has her own agenda that she's going to eventually put on display, probably in 2028 for that particular election.
remember during the 2016 transition, the RNC was in charge. Trump didn't know Washington, and the FBI was setting booby traps. This time he knows the terrain, has executive orders already drafted, faces little to no resistance, and is ready to hit the ground running. His new chief of staff says this: the window to revolutionize the government is more like 2 years rather than 4. And while Trump takes over the government, Democrats are trying to figure out what to do with Kamala. First, they floated the idea of putting her on the Supreme Court.
The dumbest
They
thing I ever
tried to
heard.
force wise Latina Sonia Sotomayor to step down because they say she's 70 and has diabetes. But the wise Latina caught wind of the coup, and her people told the Journal she has no plans to retire. Sources tell Primetime Brett Kavanaugh was ecstatic when he heard he didn't have to work with Kamala, and had a beer. So since that's off the table, Democrats want to finish Biden off with another coup.
Joe Biden has been a phenomenal president. He's lived up to so many of the promises he's made. There's one promise left that he could fulfill, being a transitional figure. He could resign the
Fuck,
presidency
man,
in
that's
the next 30
the
days.
dumbest shit I've ever heard
Kamala
too, man.
Harris, President of the United States.
They're
He
just
was
grasping.
and being able to have
Losers
oversee
grasping.
January 6th transition, right, of her own defeat. And
the fuck outta here, man.
For the next woman who runs for president to not have to worry about
the fuck outta here.
political weight of being the first.
Full of shit, man.
We've
Get the
just
fuck
gotten
out of
to look
here.
inside the mind of a modern-day Democrat. Who cares what the voters want? Promote an unqualified woman who didn't earn it so her feelings don't get hurt. The white guy who earned it, who cares what he thinks? He's old. The Bidens still aren't even over the last coup. Harris and Biden were seen together today for the first time since the landslide at Arlington Cemetery. Dr. Jill's giving Kamala the cold shoulder. You think it's a little tense? I do. But Pelosi's telling the Bidens to get over it. It's his fault they lost.
Had the president gotten out sooner,
And she got re-elected too, by the way, in California.
Should there have been an
Go
open
figure.
primary, though?
Well, see, we thought that there would be, it was the anticipation was that if the president
full of
were to
shit,
step
too.
aside, that there would be an open primary.
She's so full of shit
saying
too.
they shouldn't have run Joe or Kamala, even though
She's so full of shit because that itself, they were running on pushing no primary because Joe's been there before. He's beaten Trump. He's the only one that's beaten Trump. That's the reason why they ran with him. And then try to cover up his mental issues and all that. And then when it came to light at the debate, then all of a sudden, oh no, all these people come out of nowhere saying, oh, you gotta step down. All these people all say, oh, I gotta step down. So they cooed him out of there.
at the time she said Joe was FDR and Kamala had more magic than Barack. Biden world's gone from bickering behind closed doors to fist fighting on the front lawn.
Nancy Pelosi, everybody talks about how the Speaker Emerita, she's so strategic, she can count, and yes, she did all of that when she was the Speaker in Congress, but my question is, where is your calculator now? Because Democrats are about to then lose the dang on House, and for her to sit on this podcast, we play the sound about how, it's up to the, I don't deal in presidential politics, but she helped orchestrate, I'm going to say it.
This cycle.
She played in presidential politics this cycle, and she helped orchestrate the very public demise of the president.
That's right.
And thank God for Joe Biden that he came out and yes, endorsed his VP.
See, as woke as these people are, she finally spoke the truth on that part.
Because these people wanted an open primary. And for where?
It's like a prison yard fight, and Jim Clyburn's trying to break it up.
As we take an assessment of all of this, we ought to just chill out for a while, get in touch with each other. Don't worry about blaming anybody. I think we all just take stock of who and what we are and not get caught up in pointing fingers and assigning blame.
Clyburn's trying to play peacemaker all of a sudden.
Yeah, all of a sudden.
He's the one who created this stupid ticket in the first place. He backed Biden in South Carolina and in exchange forced him to pick a black woman as his running mate. They both went down in flames, and he's telling everybody, guys, stop pointing fingers. Nobody's listening to James. He's toast.
Yeah,
the party
get the fuck out of here, too.
Biden loyalists are complaining behind the scenes that this is the second time Obama pushed Joe out, first in 16 and then in 24.
Well, supposedly in 16 it was said that because his son died, that he didn't have the energy to put in the efforts to campaign and all that during 2016 because of his son's death. I think it's Bo Biden. And so that's just supposedly what was said back then. I don't know if that was just a cover story for Obama not telling him to step in and run. Because at that time, Biden was actually pretty popular, that he probably possibly would have given Trump a bigger challenge than Hillary. Possibly. Had he run. But that was my understanding of it at the time.
And both times, Joe would have won, they say. Axelrod's glasses almost shattered.
Come out into the daylight and say what you have to say. Put your name under it. And then let's have a discussion about it. But don't be such a sniveling little coward that you put an unnamed quote out there saying what is absolutely look at the guy.
The Clinton syndicate also
Fuck
itching
out
for
here
a
too,
fight.
man.
They feel like they were ripped off into buying a jalopy.
We didn't even get a chance to kick the tires. We just said, you're buying the car.
Shit,
no choice.
you ran with it, fool. This guy ran with it too.
Endorsing Kamala just 30 minutes after the coup. That was the kiss of death. And after 3 years of covering up Biden, the party was forced to cover up for Kamala and say she was a Ferrari when she wasn't. The second they drove off the lot, she crashed.
I think if this campaign is reducible to one moment, we're in a 65% wrong track country. The country wants something different. And she's asked,
he must have been
as so
eating
often the case, in a friendly audience,
a little
on
crumb
The
on his
View,
lip.
how would you be different than Biden? That's the one question that you exist to answer. All right? That is it. That's the money question. That's the one you want. That's the one that everybody wants to know the answer to.
One of the million questions that she didn't answer, and then she answered that one wrong as well.
Freeze. You literally freeze and say, well, I can't think of anything. When we go back.
You know why she says she can't think of anything? Because she wasn't trying to throw Biden under the bus, because he was the one that propped her up. So it was kind of like, damn if you do, damn if you don't. And so that's what happened there. So she just did a damn if you don't throw Biden under the bus, even though he had terrible policies, terrible everything, and didn't, even though she said she's a change candidate, she's all this, all that, she should have just stepped down and said, hey, this is what I'm going to do to, better improve what decisions were made, and that's what I'm trying to do, and I'm going to try to, make things better. But she really didn't want to throw Biden under the bus, and again, damn if you do, damn if you don't.
History unearths this. It's going to be right there on The View.
Did you ever think a View interview would doom a Democrat? I didn't. Democrats around the country are lined up outside the bathroom now to wash their hands of this. George Clooney says he's taking a step back from politics, so don't make him a scapegoat. And Democrat insiders are leaking to Rolling Stone that it wasn't their idea for Harris to campaign with Liz Cheney. They say they begged Harris to stop. Quote, people don't want to be in a coalition with the devil. They were saying, hey, maybe focus more on energizing your base.
Yeah, because Liz Cheney again, well, shit. Yeah, Clooney all of a sudden wants to step out. Man, get the fuck out of here. See, all these celebrities, man, screw them all right? Because all these dumbass celebrities, all they did was just throw their name out there just for the, 15-minute, I don't want to say 15 minutes of fame because they're already famous, but it's just because it's just a headline moment, oh, I throw my support to Kamala and all this other stuff, and oh yeah, she's full of excitement and joy. And then if they're all in the same boat, obviously they're all going to latch on to one another, right? Because they're the elite class, and obviously Democrats have pushed out the working class for the elites, and if you're not part of the elites in terms of supporting Kamala, then you're not one of us. So they were all part of the, I'm a Kamala club in that regard. And then now Clinton wants to step out after he was probably one of the more vocal celebrities in terms of Biden needs to step down, and then Kamala was a terrible pickup that Biden endorsed, which was pretty funny. And then all of a sudden he wants to step out. Get the fuck out of here too, Clooney. And so I always gave him the benefit of the doubt as an actor too, because everybody said he's a terrible actor, blah 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 blah, and stuff. And he rose to fame, through that TV show ER, and did some movies and stuff. And I always gave him the benefit of the doubt. But man, when you do shit like this, it just makes you get looked at differently. Like him, Ben Stiller, all these fools. It's like, there's going to be a pack of them that you just don't give a fuck about anymore. And it just goes with Hollywood, screw them all right? And that's just what I think about it. And then, yeah, I mean, it's just shit, and then all of a sudden he wants to pull his support back. Get out of here, man. And the Liz Cheney thing, it's an olive branch towards Republicans, but no one likes Liz Cheney anyways, because no one liked Dick Cheney. That's why she's kind of floating out there doing nothing. And so that's why, Kamala was, I'll just go reach out to her and stuff. And yeah, it's a neocon. Maybe have similar ideas and stuff, especially with the, war industrial complex overseas. But then again, it's still a neocon, and it's just kind of a bad outreach, when there's so many others you could have outreached within, all right, because you're kind of dividing the party between, your classic Democrats and your progressive Democrats that you needed to kind of work
And
on.
Liz Cheney. The Harris crew told him to get lost. No thanks. Oh, and Bernie's loose. He's running to the Sunday
See,
show
this
saying,
is exactly
"I
what
told
it
you
is.
so."
Whoops.
How exactly do you think Democrats have abandoned the working class, Senator?
Look, the working people of this country are extremely angry. If you're an average working person out there, do you really think that the Democratic Party is going to the mats, taking on powerful special interests and fighting for you?
Nope.
I think the overwhelming answer is no.
Nancy
course
Pelosi's
not.
telling Burn Dog to just shut up.
Well, I just completely disagree. And in fact, might notice that Kamala Harris ran ahead of Bernie Sanders in Vermont.
So what does that tell you? I mean,
Well, it tells you that the fact is that what we do, what our purpose is in the Democratic Party, is for America's working families.
Get the fuck
So
out of
if
here,
you
man.
pursue it,
You're for
go
the
ask Bernie Sanders.
illegals.
Bernie Sanders has not won. Let me, with all due respect, and I have a great deal of respect for
Trashing
him, for
Bernie
what
Sanders.
he stands for, but I don't respect him saying that the Democratic Party has abandoned the working class families.
Obviously, obviously you could see that working class families have been suffering, and they've abandoned it for the Republicans because the conservatives know how to deal with financial matters way better than Dems. Dems just spend and inflate and increase taxes because it's our fault that everything is happening. That's what they do. And so she's so full of shit, man. Pelosi's garbage, man. She needs to retire.
The Democrats doing an autopsy on Tuesday's wipeout, and the results are in. America thinks they're crazy, preachy, incompetent, and abandoned the working class in exchange for illegals, transgenders, and felons.
And elites.
The New York Times says some Democrats are finally waking up and realizing that woke is broke. And they're just
Woke
a
is
bunch
trash. Yeah, woke is trash. DEI, obviously DEI doesn't work.
About the left. You're brats. You're brats and you're snobs, and people don't like that.
This wasn't just an election. This was an intervention. The left shut out of every branch of government, and their coalition's being gobbled up by a hungry billionaire who came back from the dead. Their leadership's all in their 80s, on their last legs, politically. And the one person who was supposed to know what he was doing staged a coup without a backup plan. Obama's biographer says Barry's been extremely concerned and nervous about how history will remember him. That has certainly taken a big hit with Trump once again triumphing. Democrats all thought it was tone deaf and clueless for them to preach as they did, but now he's as relevant as Bill Clinton. Barack
Yeah, he needs to stay out of everything. Him,
never saw Biden's
Clinton.
snap Kamala endorsement coming. He got outmaneuvered by Sleepy Joe. It was his last bit of revenge as he pulled the knife out of his back. The Democratic Party's destroyed itself trying to destroy Trump. And the more they resist, the worse it gets. Everything they're resisting, the majority of the country backs. And all the tactics that they used are so dirty and unconstitutional that they've turned Trump into a folk hero for surviving and winning. Since they can't stop us, we're not invited to Thanksgiving.
How do we move forward when we know there are people you have people in their families who voted for him? They work with people who voted for him. They live next to people who voted for him. How should we deal with those neighbors, co-workers, family members?
Do you recommend, just from a psychological standpoint, being
So they're encouraging separation and staying away from family and all that as a way to cope. And what kind of shit is that? You know what I mean? So Democrats are definitely not about family values and all that, because who cares a shit? It's politics, and it has nowhere to be, in the way of what family is. Just because you might have difference in who you vote for doesn't mean you're going to separate from your family. Get out of here, man. See, these people are stupid.
around them? We got the holidays coming up.
It's completely fine to not be around those people and to tell them
Get
why.
out of here, man.
To say, I have a problem with the way that you voted. because it went against my very livelihood, and I'm not going to be around you.
The
this
livelihood
holiday.
of
I need
getting
to take
better?
some space for
Yeah,
me.
yeah. Take some space before you
people
get
are
out of
taking
here.
Some space in the Waters household. I'll have you know that I was not invited to my mother's house for Thanksgiving. Apparently, there wasn't enough room. She said it was a scheduling situation, and then at the last second invited me to come over on Black Friday.
Yeah, so all I got to say is, trash, all
I
right?
told her no thanks. I'll be at Best Buy. Click here to subscribe.
But yeah, he summarized it all. I mean, in terms of what has happened, what has transpired, what's moving forward. I mean, it's just crazy how quickly Trump is building up everything in terms of the cabinet and direction, and you could tell day one comes, he's going full bore head on. He already has everything in place. I mean, Democrats are scrambling hard right now when it comes to all that. And I want to attach another piece to this here because this is very interesting too. Another Jesse Waters, because he's real brilliant at summarizing everything and in a witty way as well.
Tolerating startup culture emanating out of Mar-a-Lago, where Trump and his transition team are pulling in the best and brightest into rooms and asking them, what do you got? Elon Musk has a seat at the table, and he's spitballing ideas that have never been tried in government. He's been camped out at Mar-a-Lago and sitting in on hiring sessions. And Trump's drinking in Elon's ideas and stress testing them. Axios says the two billionaires are fusing into a new powerful governing media paradigm. Elon calls himself the first buddy. Trump's granddaughter, Kai, says Elon's already achieving uncle status. The transition team's moving fast and already shaking up Washington. And this just in.
Brilliant.
Fox
This is
News
brilliant.
alert, Donald Trump has announced that he's nominating Fox News host Pete Hegseth to serve as Secretary of Defense.
Now, if he, was disparaging soldiers and all that, why would we hire, an ex-Green Beret soldier to be part of the cabinet? It doesn't make any sense, right? All this fear-mongering that Democrats are doing.
Pete's a decorated Army combat vet who did tours in Iraq and Afghanistan and has been a fierce advocate for veterans on and off the air. He's a Princeton and Harvard guy and a great husband and father and one of our favorite people here at Fox. No one loves America more than Pete, and no one will defend our interests at home and abroad with more seriousness and strength. He'll be working right alongside former Director of National Intelligence John Ratcliffe, who has just been named CIA Director. Besides running intelligence ops, we expect Ratcliffe to facilitate the release of the government files on the JFK assassination, the Epstein case, the lab leak, Hunter Biden's sugar brother, and the Trump assassination attempts.
Isn't it crazy?
That would rebuild trust with the American people.
Heck yeah. I mean, you're going back, 60 years and covering all the major stuff that's happened that for whatever reason the government's not going to release, but Trump is going to be transparent in a lot of things and answer questions of mystery for all these years. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Although I'm not sure if we can expect full transparency from a CIA director. We'll see. And this also just in. President Trump has just announced that Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy will be in charge of dismantling government bureaucracy, slashing regulations, cutting wasteful spending, and just restructuring bloated agencies. These two will lead the...
Get rid of redundancy, all this stuff. I mean, this is brilliant, right? Because you're downsizing government. Because you got all these... You could probably got all these different commissions and committees and redundant positions that's not even needed. So they're there to cut the fat. This is brilliant right here. And, when it comes to money, right? Elon runs a business. He knows how to work with trimming the fat and downsizing and shrinking and all that. Vivek, he's very good at judging everything and telling it like it is. I mean, this is definitely a great combo right here. Another great move once again. Holman, Stefanik, the deputy chief of staff, the Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense. I mean, this is all brilliant moves so far. I mean, you can't, you can't knock this right here.
Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE.
Do you get it?
DOGE.
DOGE. You get it? So, Department of Government Efficiency, right? So, you know what that is? Let me pull it up for you, and I'll show you what that is. Oh, let me see here. Is it over here? Yeah, let's go over here. All right. This is Bitcoin. Let me show you what that is. Doge, which has now rose to number 6 on the coin market cap in crypto. Right here, Doge, which was popularized by Elon Musk. All right. Well, I mean, it was just a basic meme coin, one of the first meme coins in crypto back in the early, few years ago, and then it really rose to fame because of Elon tweeting about it, accepting it at his dealerships, and things like that. And then all of a sudden, it's just on fire now. Let me look at the numbers here. Right, up 115% in the last 7 days. So no one would have ever expect Doge to be ever like that. You could back then you could find these under a penny each back then, So brilliant, and then to be named that department of that to cut the fat, gotta love it.
Likens it to the Manhattan Project, which will make the government leaner and more effective in order to better serve the American people.
Yeah.
The government's
I'm with that.
long been an orgy of fraud and abuse, and Trump promises that although it'll send shockwaves through D.C., it'll ultimately be a gift to the American people on our 250th birthday, which we'll be celebrating in 2026. South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem has been tapped to be Secretary of Homeland Security.
Homeland Security.
Thank God Mayorkas is gone. This is a big job
Mayorkas
for
was
Governor
trash.
Noem. She'll oversee the Secret Service, FEMA, Border Patrol, and ICE. That's a lot of bureaucracy to wrap your arms around. Bureaucracy with a lot of problems. She'll have her work cut out for her. Former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee has just
she'll
been
handle
named
business.
ambassador to Israel. Not Jewish, but close enough. We're still waiting for Trump to name his Attorney General, Treasury Secretary, Press Secretary, and Health and Human Services person. We're wondering where RFK Jr. is going to land, along with Tulsi Gabbard. As Trump picks his cabinet, the world is watching. Iran has done a 180. The mullahs are saying, President Trump, sorry we tried to kill you. Let's make peace. And the president of South Korea is practicing his golf swing for the first time in 8 years. He's expecting to play a few rounds with 47. Oh, and the media is in full retreat. Reports say CNN's going to be axing top stars and making others take pay cuts. Chris Wallace.
Shit, all those networks are cutting.
Comcast has been thinking of spinning off and selling MSNBC. And we all know what's going on at the Washington Post. Oh, and Mark Cuban just got caught deleting all of his pro-Harris tweets. Like no one would notice.
Fuck out of here too, man.
Every Democrat's trying to wipe away any fingerprints they've left on this campaign. The Obamas are coming out and saying it wasn't our idea to put Kamala in. We wanted a primary. Blame the Biden people.
They should have ran the primary from the get-go, not after they coup Biden, like from the very get-go, instead of covering up the health issues, mental health issues. They should have just went from the very, very get-go to get, someone that could step up to be the most qualified, not just prop Biden and push him up to say, hey, this is what we got right here. You beat Trump before, you can do it again, right? Even though he's supposed to be a transition president and all that. So yeah, they're all full of shit. They all lie right there in your face, and then they're trying to clean up their mess, and the Democrats are just garbage.
The people who are giving these unnamed quotes are the people who are in this kind of bubble of enablers that should have gone to him long ago and said, cash in your chips, boss. You'll be thought of more highly.
Right.
And you'll give your party a better chance to win. But they are all, holding hands in this circle of denial.
No, they were part of the cover-up.
If he had walked away, it would have been country over self. I think people would have admired him for it. And it really... anyway, I've said my piece.
Nancy Pelosi
saying
says
it now.
the same thing. It's all Biden's fault. But the ladies of The View, they're going to bat for Joe.
If you've got nothing good to say, don't say anything at all. I mean, why, Nancy? Why? I find this so unproductive, so nasty, so unnecessary. It's like she wants to make sure that people know it wasn't her. She has no blame in this. I said Biden should have gotten out earlier. I said there shouldn't have been a primary.
See all these Democrats keep lying all the time?
It's done, folks. Donald Trump won, and he won decisively. Stop blaming Joe Biden. Eso es muy feo, muy feo.
Muy feo. Bernie's been running to the cameras telling everybody, I told you so. And now AOC's backing him up. She's calling Kamala fake.
Personally, I don't. I think that...
See, you know, when they lose, they're sore losers. They're so full of shit. They lie to you, and look how sore losers they are now. All of a sudden, she was all about Kamala, and then, oh no, you know, Kamala is fake now? Come on, man.
A lot of voters really don't like fake people, and they're sick and tired of fake politicians. And so what I actually think is worse is saying something you don't believe, and then you lose an election, and then the next day you say all that stuff was wrong. I actually think what people are more upset about is someone was doing something they didn't believe and just saying something. Like, if you actually weren't about that life, why did you campaign as though you were?
Everyone's running away from Harris. And why wouldn't they? She burned them for $1 billion and wasn't even close. Her campaign looks like one big fat money laundering operation. She was shaking down billionaires to pay millionaires. Oprah was forced to admit, yeah, she was paid $1 million for her Kamala interview. She says, I did not take any personal fee. However, the people who worked on that production needed to be paid. And were. End of story. She's not the only one.
Fuck out of here, too.
Just weeks before Kamala did an interview with Al Sharpton, the Harris campaign donated $500,000 to Reverend's nonprofit. That's according to the Free Beacon. Why is Kamala's presidential campaign funneling $500,000 to the National Action Network right before an interview with Al? The National Action Network. Why is a political campaign bribing Al Sharpton?
See how
with
corrupt
donations?
Dems are?
Do you know what Al Sharpton does with money from his nonprofit? The Rev, in 1 year, spent $1 million on private jets and limos. It's a slush fund for the Reverend and his crew. It's been in trouble with the IRS for years for tax evasion. And Kamala's like, oh, here you go. Take $500,000. Imagine if you gave Kamala $500,000 to win Pennsylvania, and she just handed it to Al to take a private jet to Tahiti. Happy DEI Thursday. This is the same campaign that the media said was perfect.
Kamala Harris ran basically a flawless campaign.
I think because she ran
It's like they read
campaign,
the same
it's been very
script.
telling about who we are.
She ran a flawless campaign, and I maintain that.
This really was an historic, flawless.
Yeah, see, it's like they read the same script.
Flawless if you were Al Sharpton. But the Raging Cajun, he's had it up to here. And wants the entire Democrat establishment to just do a walk of shame out of Washington.
Spent.
Repent for their sins.
Justify what
This
you
guy
did
just needs to
wrong
get on the
and
retirement
tell us
circuit too,
what
man. He
you're
needs to get
going
the fuck
do
out of here
different.
too.
Because what you've done ain't worth.
Get the fuck out of here, man.
All right, get your head around that. In all of
You're
the
washed up, dude. Get out of here. This
Democrats
dude is so washed
fucking
up.
around, going to wine and cheese parties and talking about how misogynistic race. Get your ass out of Washington.
You guys are all for
And
this
go
shit.
Work on a 2026 campaign and do penance to make up for your god arrogance and stupidity.
Get out of here, man. He's so washed up. He needs to get out of here
All the
too.
Democrats can now do is just pray for the second coming. Hopefully for them, another Messiah just mysteriously appears out of Hawaii. Click here to subscribe.
Very witty. If you guys don't know what he's talking about, you know, Messiah from Hawaii, you know, like Obama, right? Obama's washed up. These fools, man, they lie to you. They take your money. They shove it back up to you and spend it, you know, on all this bullshit like illegals and things like that. And then they say, oh, but we don't have enough in our budgets. We'll cut all our services for you guys. Raise your taxes so we can still pay for all these different things. Meanwhile, elites don't have to worry about it because they're not. All these people are not for the working class. High inflation, high spending, and yet they can't speak for all this stuff that, the money's gone, right? And one thing about Dems is that they're terrible when it comes to budgeting and spending. Obviously, look what happened with Kamala. We'll talk about that more in another video. We look at California, as Gavin Newsom has spent, and give away, spent, and now we're in a massive deficit where he's kind of using bonds and stuff to pay for, current projects, and kicking the can down the road, and it's just trash in California. So all I got to say is, yeah, this is what you get with Dems, and that's why they're sore losers. All of a sudden, they're blaming each other, they're blaming Biden, they're blaming all this stuff. But if it was one, then yeah, they'll all be happy-go-lucky. So yeah, they're trash, they lie to you, and they're full of shit. Comment down below, let me know what you think about all that. What a better way to summarize everything than Jesse Waters, all right? Other than that, let me know what you think, all right? I give you my thoughts and insights and everything. Share with me yours, all right? Thanks, and I'll see you next one.